Evening, everybody. Um, I feel like I should apologize for the timings, but I think. Oh God, where's my voice? Okay, yeah, it's become something of a track record, and I'm not happy about it. But I'm almost at the end of all the stuff that I need to do, so there's that. I'm really looking forward to doing this. Now, I know there's a huge demand and and sort of preference for Terra Invicta, and I have every intention of coming back to Terra Invicta, but there is a new DLC out for Old World, and I didn't know that this was going to be what the DLC was, but I think this is a really great idea for a DLC, and number one, I have been looking for an excuse to kind of go back to Old World again. So I need to figure out exactly how I'm going to jump between. Um, I need to figure out how to jump between Old World and Terra Invicta so everyone can sort of be happy with both. But we will do Old World because this is today they released a new DLC called the Sacred and Profane. The Sacred and the Profane. It's also quite inexpensive, so it's 10% off for launch, but it is. Oh, the exception. Thank you very much for that. I think this is the one time that alert is actually going to be appropriate for the subject. But yeah, it's 10% off. But to be honest with you, like at this point, I suspect I don't know if you're really waiting for the couple of cents that the game's gonna save you. Uh, I don't know. Whenever I see 10% like these, it always makes me feel a bit bad for the developer because I know that in the end, like I think for most people, the 10% is not really moving the needle that much. But in aggregate, it is actually real money that the developer winds up losing. But I think it's kind of the way that stuff works on Steam now, right? You got to put a discount to get noticed. Well, for a few people, some notable exceptions. But I thought what I would do here, I actually have dinner cooking. This is one of the reasons I was late, and then I sort of said, okay, I got to get starting at least. So there's going to be a couple of interruptions at the start, with again apologies to the YouTube crowd for that. But I figure one way that I can make the most of the time would be we'll actually take a quick second and look at the write up for the DLC before jumping in, because there's a few names that I'm semi familiar with, and I don't know, it's a chance to sort of chat about it. It's also worth mentioning that I was given a copy of the DLC from Hooded Horse. So obviously, thank you very much to Hooded Horse and Mohawk. I've been a huge fan of Old World since the very start. In fact, Mohawk gave me a key for that back when it was an Epic exclusive. And Hooded Horse has obviously been a really interesting developer. They did a couple, I guess, press releases, or just generally the press was sort of talking about their release schedule for 2023. And I don't know if SBocracy is on it, but there's a lot of stuff I'm really looking forward to from this publisher. So it's certainly one that I can't really say came out of nowhere anymore. It's clear that it's clear that there's a very specific kind of plan that they've had and implemented. But that's not the one that I want. Um, but yeah, needless to say, they really came out strong with a very clear idea of the sort of game that they're interested in, and it's resulted in all sorts of interesting stuff for us to play, and ones that I've been very happy to share with all of you on stream. If anything, the dilemma is that there is just too much that's good out there. But in any case, I am going to take a quick minute just to get my dinner, chopped up and actually edible. But I figured with the disclosure, I could also talk a little bit about the DLC and why I'm excited for it, other than the fact that I like Old World. So here it is, The Sacred and the Profane. If you're Canadian, it's $5.39. I think it's $5.69 normally. Can't read that closely. $5.99. Actually, I'm curious. I think Old World Ultimate is just all the existing DLC. Yep. Actually, what I should be checking is the base game. Did that go on sale as part of the introduction? I believe that's Amanda. community manager. Yes. Okay. So base old world is 25% off, as is the first DLC, Heroes of the Aegean. So if you're late coming to the game, you have a chance to buy it at a little bit less. Vanguard Master, hello, hello. Seems like you managed to catch stream early this time. That, or I am appallingly late. Yeah, I'm gonna be stopping for some dinner in a little bit. Not too long, but I just wanted to I wanted to get people. I wanted people to at least know that that was going to be the case, and it's a chance for me to sort of talk a little bit about the game and why I think this is an interesting subject for a DLC. What I noticed, so the price I think also reflects the fact that it's a very different kind of DLC from Here's the Aegean. So Here's the Aegean had some really neat scenarios. It added it added a new, I don't call them civilizations in this, new nation in Hadi, the Hittites. And then, I mean, a ton of other stuff in the DLC as well, but certainly one where it's very easy to sort of give sort of the headliners in terms of the things that people are looking for. So like chances are if you get Heroes of the Aegean, you're going to at least try out Thermopylae, right? That kind of seems to be the thing that you do if you pick up a DLC focused on Greece. This one is very much more event driven, which is, I notice, at least in terms of comparable game. Well, is anything comparable to Old World? To games that I think people would sort of put in a similar strategy ballpark, I notice that there is a tendency to undervalue event-driven things. So I think part of this is because for games like this, there's modding tools. You can add them to the game as well. And I don't think everyone does this, but I do think there can be a tendency to sort of say, oh, well, I'm capable of adding an event, so that's all the same, right? Well, no. I mean, especially if you take a look at the existing events inside of the base game of Old World, it's really clear that they're capable of creating these sort of trees and these stories. In fact, if you check out the Designer Notes podcast, as well as a few of the different interviews with Soren and Layla Johnson, there's this wonderful story about them sort of doing a road trip, having all these ideas for sort of different stories and different things to put into the game. There is tremendous talent behind some of these things. And I don't think it's fair to just say, it's like, I'm going to come up with some events on a weekend and that's the same as the 350 plus that you get with the Sacred and the Profane. But I get it too, right? Like sometimes there's just that reaction where you're like, oh, it's just text. Like, do you remember how you feel when those things come up? So I think that also reflects the price. But in any case, I've personally found for games like this, the events tend to add something special. Now, that was my dinger for dinner. So I'm going to hop off for just a quick second. I'm going to try not to burn my apartment down, and I will be back momentarily. All right. Again, my apologies for the really scattered start tonight. I wanted to stream. I basically wanted to at least stream, and my circumstances definitely made it a little more challenging. So, the whole point of taking the time to look at the Steam page is just to talk a little bit about the DLC and what we're looking forward to. I haven't actually played it yet. They did give a bit of an early look, but I think I don't know. Part of the fun is doing the first encounters. So, about this content, Old World, the Sacred and the Profane adds a touch of religious fervor to your play with a wealth of new content that explores how religion impacted the fortunes of ancient empires. Experience over 350 new events, recruit new historical characters, and deal with the demands of the clergy as you try to appease the various faiths that exist within your empire. Be warned, if a religion disapproves of your rule, it can lead to dissent, riots, or worse. Old World, the Sacred and the Profane includes 350 plus new events, from small rituals and everyday belief to power struggles of state religions and the emergence of world religions. You'll need to keep your wits about you and navigate the complex world of ancient worship. Clergy characters. These new characters can join your court and bring their own missions and projects. How much they benefit you depend on how well the religion likes you. Existing characters may be inducted into the clergy through a mission by the state religious leader. Over 10 new character traits. The Sacred and the Profane adds a variety of new character traits, including new core traits, event-related traits, and traits unique to clergy characters. For those of you not clear on what that means, in Old World, the ruler matters quite a bit. I think it's a really great way of looking at history. I love the Civilization games, and I am absolutely not ever going to criticize them. But there is certainly, if you like the one challenge, of course, about Civilization as a player, would be if you, I guess, for lack of a better term, like if you sort of feel that the ruler, the person ruling matters, right? If if who's in a certain important position at a certain time, matters. Obviously, in the case of Civ, you are, you're just kind of this mystical social planner. Not mystical, but you're the social planner. You don't quite have that same, this person was not ready for the moment that history had sort of thrust upon them. And as a consequence, things went down path A instead of path B. And that's fine, because again, like, there's different ways that that's modeled, Golden Age, Dark Age, sometimes just defeat or a roll of the dice that doesn't turn out. It's not that that's not exactly present, but that's something that you more sort of have to put in for yourself in terms of Civilization. Whereas Old World, it is a succession of different rulers, and they will affect each other. Sorry, I'm going to have a second here to sneeze. I thought I did anyway. So, it's not just that you've got a leader. You may, start with a great leader who, rightly is considered the great, but the handover happens and it's not as smooth or successful as anyone would have wanted. And as a consequence, the empire struggles. I mean, that's definitely a story from history. What I think is equally interesting is that part of your job as a ruler is to train and prepare the next generation to take on that role. And that's why I think the events matter quite a bit, and why I think that stuff is really worth paying attention to see sort of what direction they're going in. So in the case here, the character traits are the things that give very specific mechanical benefits, usually very strong ones, for the different rulers. All right, 6 new historical characters. Mani, the founder of Manichaeism, which I believe St. Augustine was a believer in before he became, St. Augustine. Paul, fiery Christian convert and early bishop. I think responsible, 17 books in the New Testament? Obviously, so many of them are letters, but Josephus, Jewish rebel, general, and scholar. There's also an anecdote. I don't know how serious people think this is. It's always tough when you're dealing with historical stuff, right? Whether or not it is like, how do you take all this stuff at face value? To a certain extent, it's sort of like, I think there's value in, listening to people and not trying to make a guess. Oh, well, this is the part where they're lying because I find it an inconvenient idea. But on the other hand, like, you have Herodotus, not letting not letting the truth get in the way of a good story, right? You've got stories of gold digging ants and things like that in the histories. I think Thucydides actually criticizes him for that. I need to double check, but anyways, so there's the Josephus problem, where the idea is that you're facing certain defeat, and you do not want to be taken into captivity, but suicide is considered unacceptable or intolerable. And so the decision is for the kind of participants to sort of sit in a circle. So this idea here is that this rebellion has failed. The Romans are about to to seize the area, and this debate about what to do. Josephus decided that he did not want to die, but wasn't exactly ready to tell everyone. The last thing you want to do is be in a rebellion and then have someone say, oh, I'm okay being, captured by the Romans. So if you don't mind letting me go. So the account that he gives is that all of the commanders are like, they all sort of agree, okay, we're going to go in a big circle, and we're sort of going to work out this pattern. It's like, you kill every other one. And I think the idea was like, the last two sort of run each other through in the end. So the Josephus problem is it's a mathematics problem where it can say, can you, like, knowing what the pattern is, right? You've got this circle going through. How do you build it in such a way that you're the one left? I believe the story in Josephus is it's him and another, and he is able to convince the other that living is worth it. So the mathematical problem is slightly different from the historical account. But still, I believe Josephus is also one of the historical records we count on for the existence of Christ. This is, of course, not to suggest, so this is about the historical personage as opposed to all the other traits that are associated with him. In fact, I think Josephus says again, I'm really not directly familiar with a lot of these. Some of these were like, the thing is, there's a lot of really cool history that's worth reading, and some of it is very, very long. And I do like to try and read all the way through, but it does mean that I'm not able to sort of devour large swaths of history quickly, just because even the history book I'm reading right now, Making History by Richard Cohen, which does incidentally mention Josephus. Wonderful book, but it's long, and I like that, but it does keep me from reading as much as I would like. Anyways, Ostantes. Now, this is a name that I wasn't familiar with. One of the rumored great magic users, but I have a feeling that if I take a look at some of the Cultist Simulator stuff, I might see the references to those names. Sappho, Greek poetess, and Hypatia, who I'm going to feel bad if I get the name wrong, I believe was sort of murdered and suggested at the recommendation, or at least the suggestion, of Cyril of Alexandria. Although, again, I should feel very bad if I got the name wrong. But sort of this Neoplatonist and mathematician, someone greatly respected for her knowledge, but unfortunately none of her works or kind of survive. It's more through the reputation and the fact that she was murdered by early Christians. So, as always, I'd say most of these are names that I'm sort of familiar with, but the reason why this is worth taking a minute to go through is that one of the things that I cherish the most about these games, and when I'd first played Old World on stream, I sort of talked about how the Civilopedia was always a big thing for me, and how I kind of wished that the Civilopedia, or the equivalent in Old World, was a bit closer to the one in Civ, because in the end, for me, with the first Civ games that I played, that was the In fact, those might have been the ones that Soren Johnson worked on, actually, the designer behind this. Um, what I think was so interesting about that was sometimes my first exposure to certain ideas. And I really feel that when you play these games, even if you're just using something like the Civilopedia multiple times to find out something like, what are the stats for a hoplite? The fact that there's history, and this I believe has been true for every Civilization game, even the very first one. The fact that there is some context as to what this was in history, there's only so many times you can read those stats and not get curious about its role in history. And that gives you a glimpse to a much more interesting world. And in some cases, for me, those were things that, it would only be like a decade later. Hang on. Maybe those timelines don't work out. I need to figure out exactly when all this stuff. Anyways, like Civ was definitely a very early game that I'd played. Not the very first one, but I can definitely point to stuff that I played and read when I was really little that I didn't even necessarily appreciate that much at the time, but very clearly when I was older and in the library, I wound up seeking out and reading because it had stuck with me. So this was one thing I sort of said, that's a little bit of a shame. But I've really changed my tune on this, not because of the changes to the Civilopedia, but because of my greater appreciation of the events and specifically how they will bring historical links so that you can know the context of the event, but also just the way that, you sort of make the history become alive by having this almost little role-playing game in the background happening. And again, I can tell you about Paul. Some of you who follow my Twitter will know that I made a Paul joke when the Sacred and the Profane was announced, because the famous conversion story is that he's originally Saul of Tarsus, great persecutor of Christians, is sort of has this vision on the road of Christ saying, why are you persecuting me? He's blind, winds up, I think, in Ananias's house, is healed. And, so this is, if you've ever heard the idea, the road to Damascus moment, this is the road to Damascus. This is where someone who is a great opponent to an idea or a cause is brought on and becomes a very, very zealous, proponent for it. So, I'm familiar with Paul. I mean, if you're a North American, it's an increasingly secular society, but I think it's fair to say if you're North American, there's a very good chance that you are familiar with Bible stories. Most people have some experience of some kind of Sunday school. Well, not most, but it's still not uncommon for people to have some sort of Sunday school experience, even if they're not particularly religious themselves. But I like classics. So Sappho, actually, to me, it didn't immediately leap out to me that she would be a choice for the religious characters, but it doesn't say that it has to be religious characters. And obviously, Josephus is known for his scholarship and generalship more than his religion anyway. So, yeah, know very little about Mani. I probably know more about Manichaeism than I know about Mani. So, Paul, Josephus, Sappho, and Hypatia would be the names I'm familiar with. But as a consequence of this game, Ostantes and Mani are probably people who I will be looking up or I will be checking out the events for. All right, only a couple more things to go through. Religious dissent mechanics. Negative opinion from a religion can lead to dissent in cities without religion, which have lasting consequences, and over 10 new cult city projects. There are new cult improvements added by events, as well as improvements for existing shrines. Each has a powerful, unique effect. This DLC pack features a lot of what is, reflecting a time during which many religions were young and the empires of the known world were forced to reckon with competing faiths, old and new. And that's the last point where I wanted to say why I think this DLC is most interesting for me. I am a big fan of the movie The Last Temptation of Christ, and Willem Dafoe plays Jesus in it. It's based off of the book by Nikos Kazantzakis. And I think one of the reasons why that is such an interesting film, first of all, I just think it's an interesting movie, but it really does this good job of kind of capturing that part of history at a time when, you know, miracles and prophets and messiahs were not necessarily rare things, that this was part of everyday experience. And like the idea that if you are in, I'm in Canada 2023 and you hear the name Jesus, you have this whole framework of how to think about that and who this person was. And, you'll have opinions as to whether or not they were divine. But to see something like The Last Temptation of Christ, and like if you watch something like The Passion of the Christ, one of the reasons I wanted to mention this actually is just because of the rumors that the sequel is going to be filming soon. That one is definitely sort of the telling from sort of the religious tradition, right? It's sort of you have this version that you would tell to a Christian audience, and they're all going to be familiar with who that figure is. And The Last Temptation of Christ, and what I suspect probably the angle on this will be that you have someone like John the Baptist, and it's not necessarily clear, which of these prophets, which of these figures is going to get, an influential number of followers, or indeed if either of them are, and how they'll wind up sort of shaping world history or shaping the way that people think. I think like in terms of Christianity, the original numbers were something like, 1,000 followers or something like that. So there are Twitch streams that essentially have the following of early Christianity. But of course it is the growth of it, and of course something that eventually would sort of take over the Roman Empire. Again, the idea of how how nations deal with the rise of religious movements inside of their country, and how that affects how what decisions get made. This is the stuff that I think is really rich material for stories and for what ifs and ideas. And I point that out, specifically John the Baptist, because we talked about Mandeism again during Cultist Simulator, because of the Deep Mandiac, which doesn't actually exist, but it's kind of neat to see a reference to the Mandeans. And that is I believe there's a suggestion it may actually be one of the oldest forms of Gnosticism, but it is also certainly the either only or at least one of the few surviving forms of Gnosticism in the world today. And for them, the significant figure is John the Baptist. So again, if you're like me and you have this North American upbringing, and you sort of have heard one quote-unquote authoritative version of these stories, it can sometimes be surprising to sort of hear the different paths that these sorts of things go down. And I think this is one of the reasons why this is such an interesting DLC to me, because this is really those opportunities to ask some of those what ifs, and more importantly, just learn a little bit more about things that are outside of your immediate experience. So sorry, I'm probably going to sound like I'm a very religious individual, which I'm not, but it's I don't know, I think some of this stuff is interesting to sort of roll around in your head. Okay, now it has been a while since I've played this. I might do, is it the Able? I think it's like the one down from the Noble might be a good idea for me to try out. And I've not tried all of the nations, so Ashurbanipal of Assyria, I've kind of wanted to try this. I think actually Assyria gets a very warm recommendation in Velocirix, whose guide I still have not read the whole way through, but did really, really good work in terms of helping to make the game more accessible to people through a nice long manual that's available from the game page or the wiki. My inclination is Nebuchadnezzar. I think it's just because of the science stuff, but on the other hand, like, that may not also be a great way to learn because, of the ability to sort of navigate the tech tree as well. I think actually Carthage might be an interesting idea because I have often struggled with military, and the option to buy units might be helpful. I can't remember Egypt, so 400 stone on start. That's really strong, actually. Ironworking, stone cutting, and labor force. Shrine of Ra, Osiris, Isis, Neith, light chair. Okay. Greece is tempting. Actually, lots of culture per turn would be interesting, and low cost for settlers. That actually seems pretty cool. So I might try Greece. Civics a turn. Civics a turn is a pretty good one as well. This one's also kind of neat because I believe all of their units can chop down trees. Yeah, it says right here, can remove vegetation, ignore hill movement costs. So not only do they move fast, but they can clear... I mean, I suppose you could just deny your enemy trees if you are sufficiently vicious. Persia harvest production... I almost always play Rome in one of these games. I've actually held off on playing Rome for so long. +1 for fatigue limit seems like a really powerful bonus. It's like there's a limit in terms of how far your unit can move. I suppose it costs extra orders to do that, but I don't know, being able to sort of treat your melee like ranged units because they come out of nowhere. I don't know, okay, so 2 restrictions. 1, I don't want to do stuff that I always do, so that means Babylonia is out. Let's try something new. So I figure I've got Greece. I'll save Rome, so I think, let's say Greece or Carthage. So, okay. Culture per turn. You know what? I'm actually going to do Carthage, and it's just because it occurred to me with Philip, it's going to be Alexander, and I'm not good enough at military stuff to make the most of Alexander. So, well, and again, I suspect Hannibal's going to show up at some point too. Anyways, bio: I am a Phoenician princess carrying the name Elisa, who fled my home in Tyre, having escaped my brother Pygmalion, who murdered my beloved husband Acerbus, priest of Hercules. I arrived in North Africa. With my husband's riches, I bargained with the Berber king Erebus, who wanted to marry me. He mockingly promised me that all the land that I could cover with the skin of a dead ox. I cut the hide into thin pieces and, along with my Tyrian settlers, laid out the borders of my beloved city. I'm ready to become Dido the Wanderer, queen of Carthage, goddess of my people. Okay, so trapping starts us off with slingers, and camps, divination, shrine... And aristocracy comes from divination. So it gives us an ambassador. We can unlock centralization or vassalage, and then potentially border boost sovereignty or monasticism. And we get elephant units if we need. Okay. Oh, wow. Good choice for learning the game mechanics. You start in better position than the AI, which will rarely attack. The good is the baseline difficulty. Okay, well, yeah, you know what? Let's, we can do the good then. I feel like I've done a little bit more. Actually, okay, this is kind of interesting. I didn't realize, I don't think I read the description. So, suitable for an easy sandbox game. You will only end up at war if you want to. The AI is intentionally weakened. Good choice for learning the game mechanics. You start in a better position than the AI, which will rarely attack. This is the baseline difficulty of the game. AI nations start with some development according to the game's premise that you are a new nation in an old world of developed ones. Your economy is the same as the AI's, which is still inclined to be peaceful. Strong, the first difficulty where the AI is not restricted in warfare. It'll declare war more freely and use forced march. Tribal raids also become more common. Harder difficulties begin here. Existing AI nations are more developed, and cities near the map edges are no longer safe from tribal raids. The AI is more aggressive than on lower difficulties and can attack earlier. Tribal units get an additional fatigue point, making raiders considerably more dangerous than before. Very challenging difficulty where your economy is weaker and AI nations begin with strong development. Avoiding early war is critical. AI nations start with enough to easily crush you. And the highest difficulty, the AI gets a moderate economy bonus in addition to its starting development and will not wait long before it demands tribute or attacks outright. You will face many tribal raids and domestic rebels. So let's try the strong, actually. So I believe random is not random among these, but rather... Let's go for whatever the default was. Or we could do pre-made. And yes, we'll do default settings otherwise. Hey, Elgrins. Sorry, I really need something to eat, so I'm just gonna take a nibble while this loads, although I have it on SSD, so it's not gonna... Okay, sorry, just a second. Okay, sorry about that. I suspect the mic's pretty good at capturing all the horrible sounds for eating and drinking and all of that, but I do not want to slump over on the stream. Half an hour not playing the game, I'm sorry. Alright. Carthage in the Old World. You are Dido, the founder queen of Carthage, escaping from the tyrannical rule of your brother, King Pygmalion of Tyre. You've set off across the sea to found a new city. The cruel murder of your husband and the threat of Tyre leaves your legacy at stake, but all is not lost. Your natural skills of diplomacy and persuasion encourage many people to follow you to this old world, skills that will help you make allies for your fledgling nation. The existing civilizations do not yet know the riches and power of Carthage, but they will learn. Select your settler and found your capital city. You will also decide which family manages your first city, gaining their advantages immediately. Let's found our capital. Okay. So, one thing that is very helpful in this is... So there's, as you can see, the borders sort of shift depending on where you go. The one thing that's nice about this one is it doesn't really matter where I go. I'm going to wind up with the gems and with the dyes in my area. So I suppose I get sort of the maximum area if I go for one of these. I think this probably is the best. And then the question would be, so there's the Barkids. Their big advantage, I believe, would be that you can get sort of the elephants even if you don't have them in the immediate area. We should maybe just take a quick look to see. Yeah, it's not entirely clear whether or not we'll have access to elephants. The artisans will give us culture per year. New siege and ship units start with ingenuity. Mines and lumber mills get a 20% output, so the mine would be helpful here. Actually, that would also be good for the trees nearby. Traders can add multiple roads per year, minus 10 upgrade years for hamlet improvements. New worker units start with surveyor, plus 2 culture per year per bullion resource. And I don't think, yeah, there's a... Sorry, there was something else I was meaning to look for on this. Actually, if you hold shift. Oh, nope, there it is, gems. So yeah, actually this would probably be a little bit better than the artisans, just because that allows me to... I get the culture plus all of the other... plus all the other bonuses. Caravan access, get a merchant. Okay. And then statesman. Oh man, extra order a year is definitely not something to turn down. I think I'm actually going to try the Hanoids this time, though. Oops. I believe I wanted to... Oh, actually, so yeah, is it worth giving up the... Yes, it is. Malchus joins the court. A new court merchant, Malchus, has joined the court. His keen attention to economic affairs will help Carthage prosper. Malchus is a court merchant. So, 25-year-old male, has got -1 wisdom, but 4 courage. As a general, cannot die with greater than 1 HP. He's intelligent. As a as a zealot, and then as a governor, +2 science per year per culture level. Save for the fact that he's intelligent but unwise. All right. Court merchant. All courtiers serve as generals, governors, or agents, regardless of their archetype. Their ratings affect your global yields at 1/3 of the rate of the leader. For example, their charisma will increase your civics. Further, their opinion will increase or decrease your yield rates. Orders are an important feature of Old World. Units can move multiple times each turn, but each move consumes 1 order. Other actions, such as attacking or building, also consume orders. Your remaining orders can be seen in the lower left corner of your screen. We recommend that you first select your workers so that they begin to improve your land before you spend all of your orders for the turn. I'll have to consider how to use my orders carefully each turn. Okay, first choice. What do I want to build? So first of all, let's look at the tech tree. Got ironworking, stone cutting, and administration. So stone cutting is very good because of our ability to generate civics off of quarries. Ironworking gives us the warrior, and one thing that I do underinvest in at the start of the game is the military. Administration gives me the treasury, which is good for wealth. Also the potential for a free worker. So, they're recommending stone cutting, and I don't think that's a bad idea. Stone cutting allows you to build quarries in your cities, an essential improvement that provides a steady income of stone. It also allows the construction of forts to provide an early line of protection, increasing the defense, line of sight, and healing of a unit at the same tile. Okay. So, in Carthage, what do I want to do? Now, there is one thing that is worth remembering in Old World. So, it is very easy to get kind of stuck on autopilot from previous 4X games. And Old World works very differently from other games. So, for instance, what would you do if you were playing Civilization? Well, you'd probably try and develop a lot of food resources. Why do you want to develop food resources? Because that's how your cities grow. Now, there is advantage to doing food resources, and food can be associated with growth, but not the way that you think it is. So as you can see, food's right up here. We're actually losing 2 per turn, but we can fix that. The thing that will actually determine your citizen, the growth rate of your city, will be the growth rate. That is a stat that you can sort of explicitly have, as opposed to it being, another. So growth occurs from food. No, in this case, growth is growth. And it's actually worth mentioning that it will also affect. So when a city's growth bar fills up, a new citizen becomes available. Growth also determines how fast a city can produce civilian units, such as settlers and workers. While a city produces a civilian unit, its growth bar no longer fills. Ways to improve a city's growth rate include building farms on crop resources, nets on fish or crabs, and granaries, as well as training farmers and fishers. So, essentially, the idea is that, so I can build well, this is true in Civ as well. I can build a settler, but I'm not going to see Carthage grow while I build a settler. Likewise, if I build a worker, that's going to be 6 years where Carthage is not experiencing growth. As an alternative, I can try training or specialties, or I could do some of these different projects. And there will be various kind of benefits and drawbacks to the different approaches. So in the case of training, so cities can produce military units with their training. Unused training goes into the global stockpile, which can be used to buy orders, conduct forced march, assign generals, and for unit promotions and upgrades. You can stockpile a maximum of 2,000 training, with excess converted into orders. Increasing training by increase training by training miners and building barracks or ranges. Members of your court with high courage can also contribute to the global training stockpile. So the idea here is that this resource that I can use for forced marches and promotions will be, I'm not going to be growing that while I am building a slinger. But you can sort of see here, instead of there just being sort of a generic production resource, your city is actually allowed to specialize. And I think this is kind of where it becomes really interesting. We have an elder shopkeeper, so this is a specialist. This uses civics. So in this case, the elder shopkeeper, it says the total amount here is plus 40, but I suspect that's because they're moving up from a existing specialist. Guess not. Now, this would take a citizen, which is not so good, but it does give additional wealth per year, additional growth per culture level, and then for science a year, if I have the museum and calligraphy, it will improve civics and reduce unhappiness as well. Now, I'll confess, I'm actually having a little bit of a hard time picking which one I want to go for, so I'm less inclined towards growth, for the simple reason that I don't want to build a worker yet because I already have one, and it's something that I would like Carthage to grow. I would like more citizens to be working stuff. I think for that reason, it is nice to see an improvement in growth, but that's a kind of a tall order to say, okay, we're giving up that citizen we're waiting, 10 turns to get. So sort of by process of elimination, I think another slinger might be what the doctor ordered. Oh, actually, it's already starting me on a settler, so never mind. I don't need to pick anything. And generally I keep the ruler in the capital. Now, that's actually not necessarily the best option. But I do like the fact that she gives extra growth. So we will choose Dido as a founder. I should also be looking at her stats. So cunning as governor unlocks caravan access. As a leader, plus 24 in tribal leader opinions. 10% chance to become family head. 20 opinion of cunning characters. A city governor can be recruited from your court by clicking the wreath icon button below the city banner within the city screen. A governor can boost the yields of a city based on their unique traits. A governor, with the exception of the leader, cannot be from a different family from that city. I will assign some governors to help my cities. The worker. Workers build improvements for your city. Rural improvements, such as farms and mines, gather raw materials. Urban improvements, such as barracks or shrines, provide training or culture. With some exceptions, urban improvements must be built on or adjacent to other urban tiles. A lack of urban improvements will lead to discontent, so plan carefully and leave some room for them near your cities. Improvement output can be augmented with specialists from the city screen. So this is one big challenge I actually run into, is I tend to crowd out my cities. How you doing, Irrepressible? You'll also notice there's no music right now, and that is because you actually have to unlock drama to be able to hear the music. So there's a couple options that we have here. Building a farm does actually give us growth, but again, it's from the growth, not from the food. And then we can also build a farmer on there if we are so inclined. Now that'll help us with the food that we're losing. We'll at least stabilize that. Alternatively, we can build the mine, which will give us culture and money, wealth, each turn. It also winds up giving us I believe gems can be given to a family to, well, not the Hanoids though. So I will confess, I do actually want to build this mine sooner rather than later, and this is because of the traders. But I don't think it hurts to start with a farm for the early growth. So there's a cost. It's wood. Wood is very precious early on in the game, so it would actually not be a bad idea for me to find something for, like to get a second worker at some point. But we'll start by building the farm here. We've got a couple of orders left, so best to start with the scout. Scouts are fantastic explorers that can see further into the unknown than other units. They can also hide in trees, making them invaluable as early warning against invading enemies. Send your scout out into the wilderness to look for new city sites and mysterious ancient ruins. Scouts, as well as settlers and workers, can also harvest resources. So the harvest is pretty helpful, and in fact, the way that the map is set up, it's almost designed for us to be able to do that. Now, I'm out of orders, so I can't work with harvest right now. But this is actually a way that you can improve your stockpiles of things. So your scout has moved on to some wheat, a harvestable resource. Scout settlers and workers can spend an order to harvest yield from a harvestable resource. To do so, click the basket button in the action panel on your left while your scout is selected and standing on the harvestable resource. A harvestable resource takes a number of turns to renew before it can be harvested again. Resources that are within a city's limits or that are too far from one of your cities cannot be harvested. Harvesting is a great way to boost the early economy. So here I would hit the harvest wheat, but this is the biggest feature of Old World and probably the one that people talk about the most. The fact that there's an order system, which means that the problem that this is trying to solve is the fact that when you play a game like Civilization and you have lots and lots of units, there's no benefit to not moving them, right? Having the unit means you want to do something with it, and as a consequence, this is why there are there's automation introduced in games, because like nobody wants to move 100 units a turn, and so the order system is sort of designed to be an answer to that. It means you need to sort of think strategically. Do you want to prioritize industry over, say, military movement? Excuse me. And again, practically, it just means that you're not just sort of going on autopilot in terms of all the different moves that your units are taking. Now, as your legitimacy goes up, you get more orders, but we're not at that point yet. Also, I could have assigned a law. But we'll worry about that later. The Slinger. The Slinger is a ranged unit with a default maximum range of 2 tiles. Ranged units can shoot further from on top of a hill, but suffer a negative 20% damage reduction for every tile between them and their target. Firing into trees or scrub also reduces their damage. Time to sling some rocks. Okay. The first thing I'd like to do is harvest the wheat. We also should... So, counselors and laws, we should probably be working on these. So you can do centralization. You can build farms on marsh, capital city, 2 science per year for every culture level. Legalism opinion plus 20 costs us 400 civics, which we have. Or vassalage, minus 50% unit consumption, no extra unit consumption when outside border raiders opinion plus 20. I'm probably more inclined toward... Honestly, so I suspect I'm probably going to regret the unit consumption choice, but in this case I do like the idea of centralization just because of the science. I'm not going to be doing anything with civics for a while. And then, oh right, because I spent the civics, I can't actually assign my ambassador. I should have thought about that. Leg up on science is still not the worst thing that can happen to me. So I want to claim the city site for Carthage, but I also want an idea of what's in the surrounding areas. It's nothing too special, to be completely honest. Although maybe this is one for the artisan. Or wait, artisans don't get bonuses for quarries, so... Yeah, tricky call. I'm guessing we're probably not going to be able to pass the mountains, but let's see what we can do. Alright, there's nothing else for me to do with the order, so we will end the year. A marriage offer. A marriage proposal has arrived from the Hanoid family for you, Queen Dido the founder. Shall we respond to their suggestions? So we've got Arzabal the Younger. So first of all, Dido is 25, so he is 23. He is also a diplomat. Ruthless, so higher courage, lower discipline. Dowry will give us 40 gold. Alternatively, oligarch Malchus, which is my court financier, court merchant. He's a zealot, intelligent. I'm not crazy about the reduction to science, but I think the stats overall are better. Malchus it is. The nested tooltip system in Old World allows windows to persist as you link from one to another. Simply hold shift while clicking a link, or click it with the middle mouse button to lock the new window in place. This lets you continue to view a window while opening more links, even if you move your cursor off the window altogether. Try it out on this unit link, Spearman. Press the escape key or click away from all tooltip windows to make them disappear after they are locked. Nope. Apparently I can't. I thought I'd be able to... Huh. You've accepted a marriage proposal from a member of your family. Marriages are a useful diplomatic tool for forming bonds with other families, tribes, and nations. They will also allow your family to continue their line with legitimate heirs who will be eligible to take over once your current ruler is gone. If you die without an heir, the game will end. I will make sure to find good matches for my family. Okay. Oh, sorry, I forgot. Units can't pick up goodies. It's just scouts. Okay, so I kind of know what I need to know in this region here. Let's hop on the hills. Okay, that's a little something for me to harvest. That gives me something to use the slingers for. Oh, so there is something here. All right. We'll switch around when we can, but and we get gold for orders. So one option that I have here would be to buy the barbarians, if I'm not mistaken. I just need to remember how that happens. We'll worry about it next turn. I may also take a minute here just to damn it, man! The reception was a mistake. Alright, so all of those bonuses suddenly don't look so cool from my drunk husband. After one too many nights of revels, King Consort Malchus the Merchant is now drunk. If you can give me a second, I'm sorry to do this while there is no music, but I actually... So, sleep has still been evading me, so I need a refresh on my tea. Hopefully I can get a little bit more liveliness going for the stream. And then it'll also give me a chance to sort of finish off my dinner. So I'm going to take another very brief break, and then we'll kind of tuck into this properly. So sorry there's no music, but I will see you all in a little bit. Okay, so um, I hadn't eaten anything all day. It's cold, but I'm now wrapped up in a blanket with some hot tea. So hopefully we're full of vim and vigor and pep. And we're ready to bring civilization to the barbarians. All right, rural yield. Oh, hang on. I remember why I couldn't hire that barbarian. I believe if it's on the city tile, you can't. Or is it the case? I don't know. We'll figure it out. Anyways, buying barbarian seems like a good option. The rural, oh, excuse me. The rural yields are food, iron, stone, and wood. They are primarily drawn from rural improvements and collect in the global stockpile. You can spend money to purchase rural yields directly from the top bar, which shows your current stockpile. The primary source of food is farms, which are most fruitful next to fresh water and on lush terrain. Food is needed to feed your population and to produce new settlers. The primary source of iron is mines, which are most productive on ore and hills. Iron is needed to produce many types of military units, including warriors and axemen. The primary source of stone is quarries, which are most productive on marble and marble on arid terrain, and when it is adjacent to mountains. Stone is needed primarily to build improvements like shrines and city projects such as walls. The forestry tech enables the construction of lumber mills on trees to produce wood. Workers can also cut down trees with the axe button in the actions panel. The wood is needed to build city improvements like barracks, military units like archers, and ship units like biremes. And we'll build more farms and mines. Okay. Well, we've got our farm. So I can try and go for more growth, which is not the worst thing that could happen. But I think probably I want to go for the mine. I think I'm going to leave this for the scout to deal with. You are the first to discover this landmark. What will you name it? Lake Tritonus. Okay, well there's marshes, so we know we can build farms on that now. I kind of want to like see new places before heading home. Okay. Your second city. Your capital has finished training a new settler. Settlers are key to expanding your nation because only they can found new cities. Take this settler to the nearby city site to establish a new city. City sites can be claimed prior to sending a settler to colonize them. Place a unit of any type on the city site to claim it as your own, thereby preventing foreign settlers from founding a city there. When you found a city, you will have to choose which family to grant it to. This family will provide powerful bonuses to the city. After granting a city to a third family, you will lose access to your nation's fourth family, so carefully consider what bonuses you want and which family you can go without. Succession. Your family line has a new heir, Prince Pharaoh. Training strong heirs will be vital for the survival of your nation, as once your current ruler is gone, someone will need to take the reins. Once your heir has grown up a bit, you'll be able to choose an educational path to guide them into the role that you need them to fulfill. The first 4 heirs in the succession are members of your court, and their ratings will affect your global yields. For example, an heir with high wisdom will increase your science. This is a day for celebration. Okay, so I'm not ready to hammer the forced march, but we might want to take a second to see what makes the most sense to claim. So kind of the mountains here, I'm not entirely sure there's an argument for me to go sort of in one of these further back areas. Everything's going to give us access to the wheat, but one of these... I think this might actually be the most attractive because we can build some quarries. So this will be where we build our second site. Okay. Carthage. I'm just trying to think, does it make sense for me to short myself on the growth for a little bit longer to build a worker for 5 years? Or should I go for the farmer to double down on my... Actually, I want the civics. Okay, this is a little weird for me to do, but I'm actually going to build a slinger here, and this is because I want to build up the civics so I can assign the ambassador. Our explorers discover the ruins of a sprawling agricultural civilization. Raised fields split by shallow canals suggest that the ancient inhabitants used controlled flooding, allowing them to thrive during seasons of heavy rainfall. Such a site has much to teach us about efficient food production if we take the time to heed it. So plow the fields for whatever is left, or allow the scientists to study the process. I wish there was a way to find what tile it's referring to. Alright, well. We're probably not really going to be able to exploit it, but... Okay, now I don't really think there's much else for us to do right now, so I'm okay just taking the unit and moving up. Appoint ambassador. If you have researched the aristocracy technology and have an available candidate on your court with the orator, diplomat, or commander archetype, then you may appoint an ambassador using the glowing scroll icon in the top right of the screen. So I can appoint Azerbal the Younger as an ambassador so that I may conduct diplomacy. So in this case, I think I get that for free because of the... Hey, Beepo. I think I get that for free because it's a tutorial event. Are they a good diplomat, though? Good foreign opinion, good tribe opinion, but the religion won't like them. But we don't have a religion yet, so I can work with that. Inheritance. Now that you have a new heir, Prince Pharaoh, it is time to learn about succession laws. On the left side of the top bar, you can open the inheritance screen with the crown icon. Crown button, sorry. The inheritance screen will show you your current succession. If you click the change law button, you can see who the new heirs would be depending on which succession law you select to preview. You can choose different schemes like ultimogeniture or seniority based on your preference. I'll change my succession law if I want. Okay. So I think I said that this made the most sense because of the access to stone that it would give me. Which then invites the question, what family do I want? So it would not be a good idea for me to give it to the Hanoids. Number one, it's kind of hard to see. It's kind of hard to see why this would be something I want to do anyway. The Didonians. So I mean, the extra civics. So the civics are going to come from the fact that I'm working quarries anyway. But I wouldn't hate it. So the Barkids would be good for training military units, although it's maybe not clear that we have something that would give us military units that we want. And then the Artisans would give us culture. Well, I suppose mines on the hills here wouldn't be terrible. Not really a lot of woodlands for us to work with. On the other hand, there is, like, we could get a worker out of this. I don't know, though. I sort of feel like getting the extra orders early on would not be a bad idea. So we will go for the Didonians. You're now known as Dido the Settler, and we have found the Gauls. You are the first to discover this landmark. What will you name it? The Mogud Mountains. You've met your first tribe, the Gauls. Tribes can engage in limited diplomacy, but generally won't be coordinated in the way that opposing nations are. You may also find barbarians when exploring the map. They do not behave like tribes, as you are always at war with them. Barbarians are good targets for early expansion, as they are easier to drive away than a more organized tribe. Finding some barbarians or a weak tribe and claiming their city sites for yourself will be an important step towards growing your nation. I will carefully consider my approach to tribes like the Gauls. Urban yields. Cities produce the following yields: growth, training, civics, money, science, culture, and discontent. Growth, training, and civics are all used for city production. Growth for civilian units, training for military units, and civics for projects and specialists. When not being used for city production, training and civics go to the global stockpile, and growth goes into the production of new citizens. Culture and discontent both go into the respective progress bars. When the culture bar fills, a positive event occurs and new improvements and wonders are unlocked. When the discontent bar fills, maintenance goes up and growth and science go down. Money and science go directly into the global stockpile. I will pay close attention to what my cities produce. Okay, so we are going to be making a go on the barbarians up here. This is not the easiest fight for me. So we'll lose HP if we go into the marshes. These are ranged too. Although I could hire them right away. It's tempting. The ambassador is idle. So they already like me. I don't entirely think that's 200 well spent. Does give me experience. Let's maybe see where we're... Oh, it's the sorry. I was meaning to look at the families. So, already on good terms with the Hanoids. Not really anything to... Yeah, I think I'm going to avoid running the influence for now, although it is a little bit of a shame. It's a little bit of a shame I'm leaving so many points on the... Okay, no, I'm just not reading stuff correctly. Okay, so I can investigate sort of to the upper left with the Gauls. I can investigate to the right. I think it's probably better for me to check out this area here because we're probably going to wind up taking that from the barbarians before too long. Production. It pains me to do this, but I actually think the worker makes the most sense. It's just going to be a long wait. Okay, we knew that was coming. As Carthage, you can hire mercenaries. Oh. I don't know if I can get that back. Ambition. You have unlocked the ability to choose an ambition. Ambitions are goals that your families would like you to pursue, and completing them will grant you and all of your descendants a permanent boost to legitimacy. Completing an ambition unlocks a new one, and completing 10 is one way to win an ambition victory. So always do your best to fulfill your current ambitions. Here are a couple of simple ambitions to get you started. We can control 4 cities or kill 5 enemy units. We're on our way to city number 3, so I think 4 is a decent stretch goal. Kill 5 enemy units is a little bit more difficult because we're probably going to hire them more than kill them. So control 4 cities it is. Now, does this count as a hill? It does. It's reasonably clever placement on their part, because... Oh no, hang on. So this protects me from their shenanigans. And yeah, so the reason I couldn't buy the skirmishers was because they are in the city tile. Okay. So that's what I was looking for, and that gets me pearls, which I can give to both the Hanoids and Didonians. Now in this case, as Carthage, you can hire mercenaries in exchange for money from tribes like Gauls. You may not hire raiders. Mercenaries have no associated family and a 50% higher consumption cost. They cannot receive promotions, but they can be upgraded. They may only be led by a general from their own ethnicity. To hire a mercenary unit, simply collect the tribal unit that is not garrisoning a tribal site. Click the Hire Mercenary button in the unit panel on the left. I will hire Gallic mercenaries to bolster my forces. I mean, I can. That wouldn't be terrible, I guess. I'm not quite ready to take out the Gauls, but... Well, actually, are we at war? No. They're actually pleased with me, so... Yeah, I'm not quite ready for tribal peace yet, but I'm not going to go out of my way to cause trouble. Zoroastrianism is founded in Yazd. Zoroastrianism founded in year 7. A wandering noble and zealot has reached your lands from the far-off nation of Persia. He is brought before you in chains after scaring people with his prophetic visions, which he claims to be from the Zoroastrian god Ahura Mazda. The court watches this stranger with a mixture of caution and curiosity as you make your judgment. So, I'm actually going to bring up... I will confess, I actually don't remember religion in this game all that well. There are 2 types of religions, world and pagan. World religions such as Judaism are founded in the first nation to fulfill its specific requirements. Pagan religions are founded by building the first of your nation's shrines. All religions give culture to their cities, and a pleased or friendly religion will reduce discontent, while an upset, angry, or furious religion will increase discontent. Okay, so the good news is culture. The bad news is... Four world religions, Judaism, Zoroastrianism, Christianity, and Manichaeism are founded when a nation achieves one specific prerequisites. Cities without religion can then build disciples, which are capable of spreading the religion to other settlements. These disciples can also build monasteries, temples, cathedrals, and holy sites of their religions. Religion, finally, disciples can establish theology for world religion. Okay. So Manichaeism's not happening until Christianity happens. Christianity doesn't happen until Judaism. Judaism requires labor force and ranchers. A specialist can be recruited from the city screen by clicking on the plus button on an improvement, so long as you have an available citizen. Although improvements are already productive on their own, a specialist can boost their yields. Luxuries are a special resource that you acquire by adding a rural specialist to an improvement on the correct tile. For example, you access gems by adding a miner specialist to a mine improvement on a gems tile. Urban specialists like acolytes and officers can be trained to higher levels for further yield boosts. So we're already working on a specialist. I'm tempted for more culture. There's actually a number of things. So the shrine is tempting. The nets are tempting. I could use a mine, although maybe I don't quite want it. Like, we're so close to being able to get this iron, so I need a bit of a think on that one. Okay, so extra growth for the city versus extra culture for the city. It's probably because I want to build another worker before too long. Okay. Let's try a trade mission with Persia. I think probably just hiding in the woods is not a bad idea at this point. Okay, the Persian Zealot. So we can teach the ways of Zoroastrianism, and I am converted. Send them back to Persia with gifts for their leader, or take them hostage as leverage against Persia. I'm trying to think. I do like the legitimacy, but this may backfire. Let's take the hostage. Persia has begun construction of the Oracle. So what that grants, it's an urban improvement, 2 victory points, culture. You get an extra card in your for your research. I guess I didn't really explain the research. And free agent network. Oh, right. Okay. Unfortunately, one of the bonuses I get, one of the boosts is going to be lost. I am very tempted for border growth, so it's only 4 years that I wind up giving up. I would like the extra stone, but we can build quarries. We're in a good place for building the quarries, so I think that's sufficient reason. Okay. So that's 3 potential city sites available to me. It looks like this is all along the coast, so I don't see anybody following up. Now, we don't have elephants yet. Oh, it explains tech right here. So upon completing the research for a new technology, you will unlock the next technology on the tree, entering it into the discard pile. And 4 new cards will be drawn from the draw pile of available technologies for you to select from. After making your new selection from the 4 drawn cards, the remaining 3 cards are sent to the discard pile and ultimately recycled back into the pile when it is empty. Free unit and bonus cards are never recycled and are instead permanently discarded if not chosen. I must choose my technologies carefully. Okay, is that the last? Yeah, that's the last unit. So this is a really crappy explorer, but actually one thing that would be helpful is if I could find out exactly what this thing is consuming. I guess it's a little bit of everything. It was probably a mistake to buy this Gallic Marauder. So the fact that I've got these leftover orders are probably an indicator that I either don't have enough military units or I don't have enough workers. Now that's going to change pretty quickly. I'm going to found something on the coast here. We'll also take out one of these areas. In fact, it may be wise for me to try and claim one of these two sites so that I can get my third family and then get the advantage of the bullion resource. So I can make that a Hanoid location. But again, I'm kind of counting. I'm counting the gain before it actually happens. What I will do though is I can hire this Marauder, and that'll help us against the barbarians. This counts as a hill, so I think we'll throw some rocks at them. The skirmisher is on an urban tile and has a bonus when defending urban terrain. Because of that, your slinger did not do much damage. If possible, you should engage in terrain that favors you. Some of your units may be able to get the besieger promotion, which gives a bonus for attacking into urban areas. Some units will be harder to beat in urban combat. Woodcutting tribe, Queen Appia. An emissary of the Scythians has arrived with a gift of wood in hopes of establishing peaceful relations with us. She explains that the Scythians specialize in growing and harvesting wood in sustainable ways, and it has led to great prosperity for them. Sorry, just one second. Tremendous. We maintain the initial truce or cut them down. So the legitimacy is nice, but I am absolutely not in a position to be fighting them right now. So tremendous. That's a pretty nice little spot for us, actually. Okay, seems to me like we are going to... So this is a bit of a shame, right? Because building the settler is going to stop me from being able to get these specialists. I would like the miner if I could. But it's really clear that I've got a lot of sites that I need to claim. So the time has come to crank out the settlers. This is really my... Yeah, that's my last option, so... Okay, a trade delegation returns from Persia bearing news that comes unexpectedly, but not unpleasantly. It seems that instead of a trade deal, they wish to cultivate a new industry in Carthago. They would provide the necessary essentials while you would front the monetary expenses. It seems the climate of Carthago is uniquely suited to this endeavor. So for 240 we can add honey, which I think we already have access to, or lavender, which we will eventually get access to as well. I believe lavender... No, never mind. So yeah, we can get honey here. Theoretically, we could get honey from this location, but maybe it's a little less certain. So I think lavender might be the better of the two. But I got to think about where I get the money from. So my only really reliable source of gold right now... sorry, my... So I don't exactly want to be selling food at this rate. The thing is that this is what I've got. and it's the thing that's generating a surplus. So we will sell 2 stacks of 10. That brings me up to 40. And I've got my lavender. Okay, let's go for the culture of nets. Lavender is nice, but again, we potentially have access to that already. Oh yeah, also we don't have land consolidation, so we can't work with that anyway. And the problem here is, again, we're getting really tightly boxed in with for the urban areas, so I want to make sure that I'm keeping an eye on that. I don't think it'll be too big of a problem, but Patriarch Astagis the Bitter. We do have a lot of civics, so I don't think it hurts to keep doing trade. Maybe we go for the peace instead. Your slinger did little damage to the skirmisher because of the distance modifier. The ability to attack at range is very powerful, but ranged units like your slinger suffer a 20% penalty for each tile between it and the target. The powerful Eagle Eye promotion allows a unit to ignore the distance penalty. So, I mean, I don't mind that. I think they're just going to heal no matter what. But I don't exactly want to put them in skirmish range, right? So I'll settle with this for now. And I think at this point I'm just going to follow the river. Okay, so I lose this competition if we sort of go back and forth like this. This is definitely one worth force marching for. So that's just going to limit the amount of damage that I take off of the ranged attacks. You're the first to discover this landmark. What will you name it? The Alboran Sea. I usually just go for the defaults. Okay, and we don't have any orders left, so I'm not going to worry about peace with Persia. So the thing that's going to be a real shame is if I still lose. Yeah, it's going to get close. I think I just get by with the skin of my teeth, though. An emissary of the Thracians has arrived with a goodwill gift of stone to show their desire for peace. She tells us that the Thracians specialize in mining and finishing stone, a lucrative trade. This is no minor gift. Okay, unless we develop a way of moving by sea, there's not a whole lot that we're going to be able to do with our neighbors. Let's start with peace. Oh, hello. Persia's now at war with the Thracians. Okay, we got our border expansion. So the game's recommending woodworking or ironworking. The granary would boost my food work. Ironworking does lead to labor force, which potentially gives us Judaism. Land consolidation. That requires forestry. That requires polis. Military drill is also tempting because of the barracks, but it's not as critical right now because we can just buy military units. I don't hate the ironworking option. Oh yeah, actually, because labor force adding a road, that would become quite powerful, actually. The essential tech unlocks warriors, early melee infantry that will form the backbone of your army until they can be upgraded later. After researching later techs. It's administration, treasury project. We don't really need. Oh, hang on. No, treasury one does stay. We already have a treasury in the city, but. Yeah, I mean, I don't hate the granary, but. I kind of feel like I'm doing that by process of elimination at this point. Okay, ideally I'd be able to buy this unit, but I have a feeling we're going to have to vamoose. Well, we can start off by weakening them a bit. Okay, so we hit them once, they hit us once, we hit them, and we finish them off. So that's going to protect me from the ranged attack. Carthago has reached a new culture level. Higher levels of culture unlock additional improvements and wonders for your cities. Each new level will also trigger a positive culture event for the city. Today, a group of laborers has decided to join your workforce, granting you a new worker. That's definitely something that I want. I'll put them to work right away. Okay. And I mean it when I say I'll put them to work right away. So the expanding borders helped us out a lot here because I am going to be able to build up my iron. It's not great that I have been ignoring my religion. And building the Shrine of Tanit is kind of interesting here because it winds up expanding. Like, there's a couple of buildings. I probably wasn't very clear in describing this, but from the tutorial, it's talking about sort of urban tiles and rural tiles. So, like, what are some things that I want for my city? Well, because I want to add all of these specialists, some growth in Carthago would be nice, because that's going to translate to, the ability to put a farmer on, on this farmland, or get the gems from the mine and so on and so forth. So that is where I get. That's where I get sort of things like food and growth and whatnot. But the urban tiles will get me different types of buildings. I'm trying to think of the best way to handle. I actually just don't have that many options for urban stuff, to be honest. So, but yeah. Anyway, but basically, as it said in the game, you can only build those things sort of on an urban tile or adjacent to an urban tile. And so one of the things that I've tended to notice for myself is that I will build a lot of rural improvements, and I'll tend to build them surrounding the urban tiles, which inevitably means that I'm not able to expand the city anymore. And one of the ways I can get around that is if I build a religious, like if I build a temple, because that counts as an urban tile, and then I can start building sort of urban tiles surrounding it. So, for instance, if I wanted to expand Carthage, I could build urban tiles here, 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 and here. And the exception to that would be things like shrines. Anyways, I'm a little curious about this. So, adjacent resources give plus 10 output. So it's really, I could put it here or I could put it here. It doesn't have to be... It's recommending it here, but... Oh no, it's 2 because of the wheat. So So theoretically, this is also a legitimate spot for it. I'm curious why they're not making that same recommendation. A start will give us more growth. And that'll grant something for adjacent pastures, which we don't really have. I think the best we could hope for would be the horses and presumably the sheep when the time comes. It's not really something... I mean, we can presumably build it, but not really something that's an obvious benefit for Carthage right away. The Shrine of Melkart, which would give us adjacent nets, which I believe would be helpful here. Yeah, okay. So, one of those there. And I didn't mention Eshmun. So, it's basically a healing building, which is not bad, but maybe I would want to make sure that it's close to a border where I think there's going to be some fighting. So like I don't expect anything to be happening here. I don't think it's even possible to I mean, I guess by sea, but okay. I mean, I don't hate this Shrine of Tanit idea then. What would my other options be? I could build the mine. Oh, yeah. No, the mine would be the other option. But on the other hand, Babylonian paganism can be very helpful for relationships. So I would be building this for 4 years. So that's 12. So the question would be, no, actually, this is a lot easier than I thought, because I'm not currently losing any iron. Okay, let's scout. Basically, I want to see the places that I have the illusion that I'm going to be owning, at least. Negotiations proceed apace for peace and open borders with Persia. However, Persia is insisting on a standardized system of bureaucracy to regulate trade and travel between our lands before signing the agreement. They want a tribute of 7 civics. National sovereignty comes first. So I'm probably going to need to... I'm at some point going to need to think about how I get this thing back home and heal it. Now we're done for if we don't buy these guys out. So that's 360 again. I wind up selling off my food, which is not an ideal because that is eventually going to be worth less over time. But I do need my 360, otherwise I lose the unit. So. And then we could just turn them on the next city. Now that Carthago has reached the developing culture level, various options for hurrying production in the city have become available. With developing or higher culture alone, a city can hurry production at the cost of some civics and discontent. Other methods of hurrying production are further enabled by certain governor traits or laws like orthodoxy and volunteers. These distinct means of hurrying production cost resources other than civics, although they all produce discontent. For example, with the Holy War law and a state religion, you can hurry production with money. You can see the different options for hurrying production in the city panel underneath the current production progress. Hurrying production can be expensive, but can also save you in a tight spot. I'll hurry production in my cities if I need to. Now, I've actually been pretty bad in terms of discontent levels, so I'm not really inclined to hurry production. But we at least know we have the option. I'm going to build this iron mine because I think probably getting basic resources is not a bad idea. So my feeling is this. We should probably have one more worker to start chopping down some trees. We should have another worker in Carlis eventually to maybe build urban improvements, although it occurred to me that right now our only urban improvements are like shrines. And then what else? Yeah, so I'd actually think in total probably what I really want would be 5 workers. But maybe that's like that's maybe an ambition. That may not be something that I want to pursue right away. Now, I do need stone, but I think I'm going to start with the farm just because of its growth. Acropolis. Something awful happened here. Our scouts report that once a mighty city lies in ruins. The walls have been breached in multiple places and the population has been slaughtered. A few survivors remain, but far too few to even begin burying their dead. So we can allow the survivors to join us for a settler. It will give us discontent or a terrible event, but I can learn from it. So they become a scholar. No, I think losing the thing that makes Dido, even if it results in discontent, we should probably let them join us. But now I'm going to need to think about ways that I can get rid of the discontent. Probably like a festival, but... Okay, I don't think it would hurt to have another slinger. Well, but that's 8 years. Nah, we'll build up into the slinger. Prince Pharoin is now old enough to be tutored by courtiers. The Thracians present an offer promising a stable peace. Do we approve? So we can make the deal, but I lose legitimacy, or this offer is not good enough. Okay. King Consort Malchus the Merchant wishes to learn the fine art of courtly persuasion, but he abhors crowded feasts and revels. Shall we accommodate him? We can hire a master orator. It's too expensive, or explain that it isn't possible just now. Make a vow to spend more time with him in the year ahead. He's not endeared to me, sadly, so... Although I believe my ambassador is in love with me. Yeah, in love but jealous. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the well and recklessly sell my crops. I wanted to shift, not control. Time passes quickly. Prince Pharoin is growing up fast and eager to learn. How would you like to educate him? I tend to go philosophy. That may not be the best option. So politics would get me another diplomat. Let's start him off in politics. Okay, 2 settlers. I was not expecting that. But it's pretty clear where they're going. Okay, we're just going to keep them in place. This is not really going to end well for me, but at least I'm sort of protected from the range stuff. I think if I move closer, I'm just going to get overwhelmed by the barbarians. Okay. I will eventually want another settler, so do I go for that now? Or do we allow the city to grow? I think I'm going to do a settler. Persia has converted to Zoroastrianism. A letter arrives by courier from Prince Pharaoh to the at the Academy. Dear Dido, as part of my instruction at the Academy, my tutors have directed me to write to you. All has been going well, but I have little to complain of. I miss father at times, but I must carry on. Your son, Pharaoh. Thank you. Please return to your duties, courier. Household troubles. Your husband, King Consort Malchus the Merchant, expresses his concern one morning. Many of his servants and staff are ill, and a pregnant serving girl has miscarried. You are expressing concern when he falls to the floor, shaking and feverish. His recently hired head of staff helps you look after him until help arrives. Later, Malchus tells you that he believes the drinking water from the palace well is at fault. He asks that you promote his head of staff, Marbal the Builder, to a prominent position to help look into the matter. Let's give it a shot. A new court minister, Marbal, has joined the court. His aptitude in matters of state will keep Carthage moving forward. He's disciplined as a governor. Oh yeah, sorry, I should be assigning governors to cities. Although I guess it hasn't told me that. Right, because I don't have any of that family. Well, of age. Okay. How do I even begin to decide which of the families? So we've got Didonian, we've got Hanoid. It's Barkid or... I don't remember the other one. Okay, artisans, mines and lumber mills. So, like, we've got an option for lumber here, I suppose. Or Barkids. Yeah, I mean, it's nice that I can build my special elephant unit, but I don't know, like, here's the thing, right? Like, so let's just think about, we'll just think a little bit about what we're trying to do here. So, okay, Saddleborn, what does that give us? Oh, does it not tell me? There we go. Flanking. Also, I think there's a setting for, sorry, I just want to check something. Because I think there was a setting for, like, special colors on, Sorry, I just want to check something here in the background. Because I'm trying to remember. I seem to recall there was some sort of like color profile for Old World. Like I do have, I won this. It's like a SteelSeries keyboard. What is it? SteelSeries Apex something or other. And I feel like there was a God, I feel like there was some kind of an integration. Maybe it was a Corsair thing. Anyways, I'm not going to spend that much time on it. I just wanted to see if I could find an article on it. The funny thing is that a lot of this stuff, like, usually happens automatically for me. So, I seem to remember there was also something for the Division, which I never actually wound up getting working, but. Here we go. Corsair IQ. Yeah, Corsair IQ functionality now enabled. So I really wish people would communicate through things other than YouTube videos. Okay. Yeah, so as far as I can tell, I can't remember why I thought of this right now, but I know, because I accidentally bumped one of my function buttons. Okay. But yeah, so I'm thinking about this, like, training is definitely nice. It's my second lowest. Okay, second lowest of 3 isn't really that meaningful, but like it's relatively low for me in terms of like what I so like getting extra training is not bad on its own. So when it says Saddleborn, so why does it sometimes? There we go. So bonuses for flanking are kind of nice. Being able to build the elephant units are nice. But then we can compare that. So we've already locked in 2 of the choices. So even if it was wrong to go for like the statesmen and the traders, think about what the artisans give us. Extra culture per year. Siege and ship units start with ingenuity. So in that case, that gets us... This is so weird that it only sometimes... So yeah, it's attack and defense strength, which on its own is probably worth it. The only thing I don't like about this is that the options for mines and lumber mills are not great here. So like lumber mills, yes, mines, like nowhere really near the city. So then we have the option here. So, you know, there's a couple of hills which might be good for mines, but again, we don't really have a whole lot of options. But yeah, I think what I'll do, I am going to go for the artisans. This seems as good as anything for claiming mines. And I think what I'll do, I'll let this city get the cows or the cattle. And then this city will get sort of like everything else. Although we should probably make sure that we're also claiming the thing is, I don't want there to be a lot of conflict between the two. Well, actually, this one will be heading to the left so that it can get sort of like the pasture and the... I think I've got more than a few options there. This probably works best for me. Okay, artisans it is. You are the first to discover this landmark. What will you name it? The Indian Ocean. And then... Oh, this is a real shame. So the dyes go unclaimed because I want to get the... So if I go for here, I don't get the honey. This gets me the honey and the sheep. That is such a weird shape. So why would I pick this? Okay, so now I need to think about, so which of the factions do I want to make happy with the next seat? Because it's not like any of these are really, like, I'm not sort of bending over backwards to make anyone happy right now. So the extra orders are always a nice default. So we don't use this one for the bull. Yeah, so we would want this either for the mines or the lumber mills. So let's go for the Didonians. The Explorer and the Pioneer. We've completed the ambition to found 4 cities, or control 4 cities, not found. Okay, definitely healing this unit. Oh, tutoring available. I should be working on that right away. Okay, so Malchus the Drunk can end ill. Okay, so 11, 19, 22, 15. What am I looking at here? Better chance. I think I like the bonuses that come from Maharbal first. All my money's going into things that are not units. Okay, let's not worry about the ambassador right now. There's actually not a whole lot for my people to do. Okay, well, I'm not going to be able to use the worker no matter what, so let's get the promotion in. feel like Bloodthirsty's a good one to start with. Okay, so they've already got a worker. Mind you, I guess this is the family seat, so it wouldn't hurt to have another. Actually, honestly, at this point, the question is, what else am I going to do? So yeah, worker for you. Definitely worker for you. Your cognomen has changed to the Explorer. Your cognomen describes your recent accomplishments. Acquiring a cognomen is one way of increasing your legitimacy in the eyes of your people. Higher legitimacy grants you additional orders and improves your standing with your families. Keeping your legitimacy high is important for controlling a large nation. I'll show them who's legitimate. That's not a huge surprise. Carthaginian paganism is founded in Carthago. Alright. Pagan religions are founded by building your first shrine, and they spread by building more shrines. They have no disciples, theologies, or access to special religious improvements, but improving the religion's opinion will reduce discontent in cities with the religion. Paganism can be adopted as a state religion if you enact divine rule. I will build more shrines if I want to spread paganism. Like father, like son, your courtiers inform you that, for better or worse, Prince Pharaohan is showing signs of taking after his father, King Consort Malchus the Merchant. How this influence takes shape is yet to be seen, and regrettably my heir is a drunkard. The drunk mind reveals the sober heart. Oh no, he's debauched. Jesus. He's not governing any cities. But all cities get one discontent a year. Damn. Your brother's servant comes with a request. Pygmalion of Tyre wishes to produce gold from the treasury to purchase silk for new fineries. He insists that it is required for the dignity of his royal position. Sorry, dude. Cannot afford such luxuries. The threat of Tyre. Carthage is still young, a fledgling nation trying to find its way in the world. The already perilous path is made more frightening by the persistent threat across the sea. Your brother, the tyrant King Pygmalion of Tyre, is waiting for a chance to strike at the ones who fled his kingdom. The nobles of Carthage are worried, asking that you improve the nation's defenses in preparation should Pygmalion of Tyre send forces to attack. So we could train specialist forces to repel an attack, promote a unit 5 times. Sorry, promote units 5 times, so that's 5 total improvements. Kill 5 military units, which will give us a warrior, or refuse to commit such actions. Okay, I think it is more likely that I'm going to be able to take out 5 units, but that means I actually have to go looking for fights now. So... you get healed. Let's actually start worrying about our... improvements. I mean, I don't hate the idea of building this shrine here. It just feels a little premature. Yeah, the pearls will be useful for other reasons. So it's recommending a quarry here, but I don't actually think that's the best one for me to be building. I think if I build one here and we put down the Shrine of Melkart. Okay, so I've got you for food. Yeah, so I mean, now the question is, do I still want to keep hammering the growth, or do I... you know what I am. I need to get somebody for wood, though. So unless we wind up with a surprise crit, I'm pretty sure we're toast. The warrior is the first melee unit available to your nation. Melee units will form the backbone of your army, defending you from enemy tribes and nations. I will use warriors for early combat. Now, I thought I got that after I completed the mission. I'll not complain. I think we're going to move into position first, and then I should also be starting to assign some generals. Bostar the Pious has converted to Carthaginian paganism. Pygmalion of Tyre has converted to Carthaginian paganism. Okay, labor force, I believe, leads us on the path to Judaism. It's recommending drama. Actually, the Odeon would probably be helpful because of the amphitheater. So I wish I understood why it only sometimes gives us the... So the game's recommendation for drama, I mean, number one, music is kind of worth it on its own. Let there be music. In addition to starting the game's music, researching drama unlocks the Odeon, an improvement that adds to a city's culture yield to help it develop. Alternatively, now, man, I think labor force is where I want to go here, because connecting the cities by road. No, hang on. Because rivers are effectively roads in this game. So yeah, let me see whether or not my cities are connected. If they're not connected, then I think labor force makes more sense. And if they are connected, then drama. Okay, so not connected, this is connected. I'm assuming because of the sea route. Okay, so there's really only one city not connected. What does navigation get me? I will never know because it's still not letting me... Oh, there we go. So that's what gets me the bireme. Yeah, it's the amphitheater. So that's going to help me out with my discontent. So drama it is. As an aside, so I do somewhat regret that I have to have this on. There is just truly phenomenal choices in terms of the soundtrack for this game. And you'll notice so much of it is grayed out because it's like... This is... Okay, so as a streamer, obviously I'm disappointed that I can't share a lot of this with you. As a choice for the... as a choice for the game, the first priority should be to create a game that, you know, is incredibly enjoyable. Like the fact that it's inconvenient for streamers, not even inconvenient for streamers, but like the fact that it's you know, it's not something that I can share on the stream is a shame, but that's just a reason for you to go and like buy and play the game for yourself. And I wasn't aware of Seraphim Bit Karibi, but this is an album where like it's entirely in Aramaic. So as you can see from the titles here, these are psalms. But you know, again, it's kind of funny because like when I look at my Apple playlists, I don't consider myself a religious person, but like when I take a look at my playtime on Apple Music, there's like the Sacred Sounds playlist. I have a couple of sort of Byzantine chants, and then I was delighted to see this. And again, there's just a couple in the opening menu which are just like they perfectly set the mood for the game. There's actually some fun sort of backstories too, in terms of just some of the different choir, like the different religious groups brought together in terms of some of the music. There's Christopher Tin, who I believe was a roommate of the designer. But yeah, just really phenomenal music choices. I actually think this has expanded since the last time I've checked too. But I feel like it's something I need to point out for the simple reason that it's like the absence of something is kind of easy to take for granted. But I just need to assure you, like, one of the real delights of Old World is the choice that they made in terms of music. Dido is you and the governor of Carthage. So strict, new infantry units 100 XP, carpenter, or I think we'll just go for the extra courage. Azerbal is your ambassador, extra culture to cities, or get rid of the discipline drawback. Doesn't actually seem to be affecting his role as an ambassador, so let's go for the extra culture. Okay, I definitely want to be prioritizing my improvements before I do any military matters. So let's build a mine. That's also going to get me some extra wood. Might as well put a brave face on it. Well, I mean, they're... Oh, no. Yeah, they're still done for. Again, unless there's a wild... Probably not the best use of my orders. Personal religion. Although Carthage has no state religion, many people follow their own faiths and practices. The Carthaginian pagan priests of Carthago say the support of the gods will only strengthen your rule and offer to teach you about their ways. Will you accept? Teach me your ways. Okay, so let's start by assigning some generals. Heal in neutral territory sounds really good for these guys. Actually, okay. King Consort for you. That's the order sorted. Patriarch Bostar the Pious is now head of Carthaginian paganism. General Sanbal has converted to Carthaginian paganism, and the tutor mission of Marbal the Builder has led to an event. One day during lessons with his tutor, Pharaoh hears a clamor beyond the palace walls. A group of urchins chase a terrified cat along the street, laughing and striking it with sticks. Maribal notices his pupil's interest and challenges him to intervene. What does the royal tutor advise? Attack the boys and drive them away. So right now, Debauch... Okay, so Debauch doesn't have any status changes. It just winds up screwing up my content. Distract the boys with a humorous story. Wait until it's safe and nurse the cat back to health. Or do nothing, urchins always chase cats. I think I'm going to go for the wisdom. Okay, so again, putting a brave face on a tough situation. I don't think there's any way... Yeah, there's no way that I'm going to be able... Like, basically this unit's dead no matter what, but... I was not expecting us to start a fight with the barbarians this soon. Opposing views. Prince Pharaoh comes to you during a rare break from the academy seeking guidance. Two opposing factions of thought dominate my discussions and studies. One holds that the fates direct the ways of mankind, so we must accept all events with a stoic tranquility. The other states that the gods are indifferent and fickle, and thus we should look to ourselves for enrichment of the mind and body. Pharaoh sighs heavily. Which of these is the right way? Gods are to be feared in all respects. They become gracious or superstitious, and money and knowledge are the root of all power. So what does this give me? Gracious will improve charisma. Money and knowledge. Influence missions giving you a chance to improve another character's opinion of your leader at the cost of a few orders and some money. They may also lead to follow-up events. You can conduct an influence mission by selecting the influence button in the action panel on the left while a character other than your leader is selected. You may influence members of any nation, not just your own. Not the one I would have made the move on, but it's free, so let's go for it. I don't know if he tried to talk to you earlier, but you had to step away in a rush, so you didn't get a chance to say so. Just dropping by for another couple minutes before I head off for the night, though. Okay, I hope you have a good night, Vanguard Master. So it occurred to me I can actually move and heal, which I should have done earlier. Oh, right, we already made the move. Okay, so I think it's just... grabs will be good. Yeah, no worries. Like I said, I don't take attendance, so I get that people are busy. I mean, you in particular have got your impending Steam release, so I'm not going to... Prince Pharaoh has turned away from the heavens to find meaning, and some say he's become greedy. The oracle has been completed by Persia, severely ill, coughing up bloody mucus and suffering from sharp pains in his chest. King Consort Malchus the Merchant fears he does not have much time left. We'll be handing this off to a pretty unworthy heir. Hannah of Caralis heard a strange rumor while in the Salde that there was a merchant with unending amounts of money. The tale goes that she had a magical coin that will return to the spender's pocket at the end of each day. Zanbak laughs when confronted with the story, putting such tales down to her talent in trading. Magic coin or not, should Zanbak join the court? Yeah, why not? Zanbak joins the court. A new court merchant, Zanbak has joined the court. Her keen attention to economic affairs will help Carthage prosper. Okay, now surely we've got people who are eligible to be governors now, right? I guess the game tells me when I have governors available. Warmongers! King Pygmalion of Tyre decries our recent sacking of barbarian settlements as dangerous and unnecessary. He accuses the court of willfully sowing the seeds of unending war by acting in a way that only serves to raise future threats against us. How shall we respond to these concerns? So conquering savages is a way of expansion, and we get a settler, which will be really helpful. Warlike... but I will... one of my factions will actually dislike my warlike nature. We must erase their barbaric cultures, which will improve my legitimacy. Perhaps there are more peaceful methods, and I become gracious. Huh. I'm actually going to go for gracious, because I actually don't think it matters if I wind up taking over... Like, I think I'm still going to be able to sort of beat them up with impunity anyway, so. Okay, I should make sure that I'm working my tiles. So this is going to limit my options in terms of military movement, but I definitely want to make sure that I'm moving my scout into safety. So this is kind of how I want my turns to be going now. Like, obviously I'm spending quite a bit of time trying to make my or like I'm actually having to make some decisions in terms of where my orders are going to. You don't get any participation marks? No. Okay, or you get lack of participation marks. King Consort Malchus the Merchant, General the Warrior, has died in the field. Ambassador Arzabal the Younger is now head of the Hanoid family. We already knew that was going to happen, by the way, because of it just said he doesn't have much time left. You successfully exerted your influence on Prince Feroan and has been influenced by me. The court mourns. Today we grieve the death of King Consort Malchus, a member of the Carthaginian court. His spirit will be venerated and his deeds will be remembered. Okay, let's find a husband. Why is it picking Maribal the Builder? So the Didonians are the most cautious. Yeah, so the biggest improvement I could get would be by marrying into the Didonians. I also need to make sure I'm dividing these appropriately. So there's 2 for the Didonians. This one was going to be for the Hanoids, which would mean the artisans should get this one. Which wouldn't hurt. I mean, we can probably use these for iron mines. Okay, urban tiles. I do like the idea of the growth that comes from the shrine. So I'm just trying to think my way through. So like the growth in the Shrine of Astarte, like that's fine. I'm not really locked into it one way or the other. I'm just trying to think, like, is there one spot where I would want to prefer building this shrine over another? I'm actually having I'm having a little difficulty answering that. So let's think this through. So let's say maybe we'd do a granary and some more farms around the edges here. Actually, theoretically, mines would not be a bad idea here as well. Actually, let's undo that. Let's just double check what my options were. Okay, so Fort apparently is not an urban district. Is that right? Apparently neither is a stronghold. No, it is. Okay, sorry, it says urban improvement there. Okay, so forts are not. Strongholds are. I also want a quick view of the wonders I can build, because obviously Persia beat me to the Oracle. So we have the options of the Hanging Gardens, which would be good for growth. We can build that anywhere, and it counts as an urban. Ishtar Gate, even more growth and culture. But the Hanging Gardens give growth to all cities, so that would be the better of the two. The Apadana, good for cash. And we don't have the museum. Okay. I think probably the Hanging Gardens would not be a bad goal for us to move towards, although we'd certainly need more wood before even considering that. But I'm just going to put this down because I tend to have a bad habit for not not expanding the urban areas, so I actually want to start kind of letting the urban areas creep out a bit. Okay. They are gonna punch me in the nose if I'm not careful. And this one's a rental, so I can afford to lose. Nah, there's a better way for me to do this. Right, we're not in friendly territory, so. Community. Your scouts send word of their shock upon finding the ruins inhabited by a Zoroastrian family. Community. Although small, the commune has people from different nations living together under Arua Mazda's laws. The charismatic leader offered your people food and a place to stay as they explore the surrounding area. What direction do you send back? So we can invite them to share their ways. The good news is that is an extra citizen for us. The problem is I don't think it's a good idea to have a religion that doesn't really like me kind of growing in my borders. Instruct them to loot what they can from the community. Okay, so I mean, it's all fun to be mean to the Zoroastrians, but in this case here, the extra map time. So number one, we're doing fine in terms of that's a turn's worth of gold, so that's not like terrible. Or like that's not like, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to want to annoy people for doing that. But boosting the opinion and getting sort of visibility is that's something that's a win-win for me here. So a delegation from the Danes has arrived bearing an introductory gift of iron. The leader of the delegation explains that the Danes have long gathered and mined iron to trade with their neighbors. Our hearts melt with gratitude. 150 iron. We too desire iron. And we go to war. Or, this will make our army all the more ferocious. Maintain the initial truce. And... interesting. It's hard to say that... So that's like 10 turns worth of training that we get out of that. But I am going to take the iron because we were looking at wonders. Okay, we don't have the citizens for the specialists yet, and that makes me sad. So we finished the settler. This is almost unforgivable. No, hang on. I'm going to put on a festival first because the discontent is rising. So that's going to allow me to get a citizen back. Okay, let's get you closer. Let's see what the barbarians do. The Hanoid family is converted to Carthaginian paganism. Maribal the Builder has tutored Prince Pharaoh, improving his discipline. And a new marriage proposal from the Didonians has arrived for you, Queen Dido the Pioneer. We can go for Hanno the Proud. So we are 44, 57 versus 56. Dowry's the same. Hanno the Proud does not have wisdom. Carly the Vigilant... I think I'm actually going to take Hanno the Proud, even though that does reduce my science, just because the strengths from the others are so much higher. I'm going to tutor my child. I'm not opposed to having a more charismatic child. Funds for the faith. Missionaries from Persia have arrived in the capital to raise funds for the ongoing spread of Zoroastrianism in Caralis. Many in our nation share these beliefs, and it would be wise to pledge more support. We have no funds to spare. News of your son's reputation at the academy has reached the palace. Apparently, his songs and poems have mesmerized the teachers and other students. Such skills should help determine his future. So he can become an ambassador or a natural educator. Both would be great, especially given the fact that we could redraw texts. I think we're going to say we're going to keep on the ambassador run. Clear forest. Your worker has moved onto a trees tile. Workers can spend 1 order to cut down trees with the axe button in the actions panel on the left, and 2 more orders to further clear the land. These actions both harvest wood and add it to your stockpile. The tile in question does not have to be in your territory to cut down the trees. Once cut down, trees take some time to regrow. If you build an improvement on a trees tile, the wood is automatically harvested as the land is cleared at the cost of 3 orders. Eventually, you can research the forestry tech to enable the construction of lumber mills, which are a more regular and sustainable source of wood. However, they must be built on a trees tile, so don't cut down all your forests. You can also spend money to purchase wood directly at the top bar where it shows your current stockpile totals. I will cut down forests for wood so I can until I can build lumber mills. So in this case, we wanted to build a mine anyway. All right, plenty of work for me to do. Well, I did want a second one of these. So if I recall correctly... Okay, now this is weird. So apparently I only get to put... Oh man, I really screwed up then. So I thought you could put like a shrine in each city. The Shrine of Melkart would have been better here. That's a real shame. Okay. Actually, with that in mind, we'll cancel the Shrine of Start because there are other pastures that we can build. Okay. Now I've gone and done it. What am I going to do with you? So, I mean, the sad reality is there's just not that many urban buildings we can build right now. So I do need stone. We are going to be working on stone by the mountains, but it wouldn't hurt for us to have some stone in our immediate area. So, adjacent mountains, volcanoes. So the funny thing is, if we have a specialist working this mine, we can actually expand the borders out to a point I can take advantage of these mountains. So what I'm going to do here is cut the trees. Okay. So this idea of urban improvements doesn't quite make as much sense as I thought it would. On the other hand, okay, so this is going to seem a little funny, but basically I don't quite have the... Okay, well, I have the iron for warriors, I suppose, but what I'm going to do here, I'm actually going to put on a festival, and I'm going to do that for a number of these cities. Well, if I can build a specialist, so much the better. I do eventually want to put some slingers in these home cities. Actually, this one doesn't need the festival, so... It's just, I'm not crazy about using up the last... Nah, okay, we'll go for it. No, hang on, we don't have a worker here yet. Okay, that's the year spoken for. Oh, they're running off. Hadi has begun this construction of the Hanging Garden, so we're pretty much... We've been beaten to that, I think it's fair to say. Zanbak the Merchant has converted to Carthaginian paganism. Arashat of Utica has converted to Carthaginian paganism. Prince Verona has returned from his political studies, but he would like to retain a tutor for additional training. What shall be the focus of his continuing education? Mastering the strongest arguments or probing for the opponent's weaknesses? Let's keep going for those tasty, tasty civics. All right, let's grab some more nets. This one is this is actually something we can give to families. Okay. I have no idea what I want to do. Garrisons are not bad ideas, but we just don't have the stone for it, so. Why did I give you a second? Okay, I know what I'm going to do with them, but let's figure out the next few. Nice. Oh, wow. Led by the stars, Zanbak the merchant is worried about the future after a recent trip to Carthago. The portents of astrology are so widely believed that that people pay more attention to diviners than to official edicts. The courtier suggests expelling astrology from the city before it becomes even more powerful. So expelling all divination will increase our legitimacy. I will gain discipline, but a huge spike in discontent. Or forbid readings in private, or on the matter of deaths, which will upset civics. Or we could seek out the advice ourselves. I think we're going to go for the hard choice here. We will expel all divination, but that's going to mean that I need to invest in festivals quite a bit. Also, I need more babies. Not the population. I need heirs. Zoroastrianism has established legalism theology. With mild fever and runny nose, Prince Pharaoh is rather ill, so the problem here is that if the prince dies, like, we're done. So Zanbak the merchant has tutored Prince Pharaoh, improving his courage. So it's recommending military drill here. Walls will help me with discontent. I think Polis is also on the path to forestry. So, an essential step towards unit upgrades and promotions, military drill unlocks the rally troops mission for a one-time boost to your training stockpile. Military drill also allows the construction of barracks which increases the training output of your cities and generates XP for any military unit in the same tile. This ensures that your army grows stronger even during times of peace. So yeah, I think we're going to go for Polis. Oh, so many idle workers. Okay, before we go charging in, let's get a general here. I still think it's absolutely wild that we don't have candidates for governors in any of these other cities. Wait, that can't be true. This must be about culture level. Okay. All of these options suck. So obviously it pains me not to... It pains me to... not to be dragging down the discontent. But I do want to take advantage of some of the bonuses. So yeah, we'll start with the gems. Okay, there's my trio of iron mines. Heal up. Good position. Okay, let's try and make things better. Oh, here we go. We can build right, of course. We can actually build stuff now in cities that are upset. Okay, well, we'll start with the Odeon, I guess. I was hoping for the amphitheater. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. So I got to think a bit about rural improvements now. So let's say I'm going to build my little trio of quarries here. This kind of makes sense for a farm, but maybe the farm would be better served up here. Excuse me. I am going to need to settle on... I am going to need to settle on some... Oh, right. Okay. That doesn't work. Excuse me. Yeah, so for the ones that don't have, like, wheat, I still need to put farms down for growth. Prince Veroan is thankfully feeling much better now and is no longer ill. The health of King Kartsot Hanno has begun to decline. He's now ill. You know what, Dido? Maybe this isn't your husband's problems. Okay. So there's a couple things I want to do here, and I should have done this earlier. So my debauched son. marry into the Didonians again. At the very least, he can, you know, make a baby. So I'm wondering why I decided to put the farm here now. Well, I'll live with it. Flanking maneuver. Your general and pathfinder, Maribal, has discovered a hidden route through the local lands that could allow your forces to surprise the enemy with a flanking maneuver to trap and completely rout them. However, the path is treacherous and it would take some time to move all of your warriors. Will you order the troops to march this route? This is absolutely worth spending the training for. Okay, so you've got your worker. Well, here the specialist makes sense. Okay, stonecutter I think makes a lot of sense here because this makes my specialists faster. Only the best. It has been months of negotiation with the Didonians, but your skills as a diplomat have secured the finest matches for Prince Pharaohan. Do either of the final two Didonian suitors meet your standards? So 26 and 20. So 20 is slightly more attractive because of the like just longer time to produce heirs. And also they're romantic, which is obviously the reason why I want this marriage. But actually they just have some really good stats. So righteous is kind of nice. Righteous is actually better than... Yeah, no, I'm still going. Batbal is the right choice. Seasonal festival. Prominent local leaders in Salde wish to host a seasonal festival celebrating national values. What should be the festival's theme? Through the state, all things are possible, or knowledge and science are the future. So we're going to do knowledge and science because we've got a lot of civics we've been sitting on. Paranoid. Our spies receive a personal message addressed to you from Cyrus, ruler of Persia. It is a paranoid rant, a litany of accusations and falsehoods. Apparently, he is convinced that you are plotting against him. You may wish to ease tensions, perhaps extend the olive branch to the anxious ruler. Tell him we have no qualm with Persia, and he becomes suspicious. Send him gifts of fine Carthaginian goods. He becomes endeared. Scold him for making ridiculous accusations, at which points he becomes vengeful, or give him laborers who are diseased. Convert? Convert to what? Oh, right, convert to, oh, convert. That's outside my region. I don't think I want to lose the pigs. Hello, Takri. How you doing? I'm so glad you're here because I know you're a very devout individual, and I'm about to give you a whole lesson on where the hell did these guys... Oh no, I guess they're probably off the screen. Of all of the cool ideas present in Sacred and the Proof. We actually haven't run... we've definitely run into a couple of the religious events that have popped up. But I'm going to tell you all about the Apostle Paul. Hypatia. Or Sappho. We haven't run into Sappho yet. Or Saul. Or... We haven't run into any new characters. But I hope you're doing well. I don't know if you were broadcasting tonight or not, but if you were, I hope it went well. And if you weren't, disregard. Let's go for the special farm first again. I mean, we can... Well, no, we can't build the Odeon because we don't have any stone. Let's also deal with the baddies. This is what I get for not moving my units in position. I think we're basically just going to make those slingers sleep. And I would like to be exploring a bit more, but I feel like we should be... working on improvements at this point. Okay, so let's say they're working on urban improvements here. What are the rural improvements that I would want to do? So I've got to do stone at some point. Like this is clearly got to happen. I can try extending Carthage out. Okay, actually, here's maybe not a bad way of thinking of it. Or no, because I was thinking maybe we put the quarries here, but the problem with quarries here is that this would have been good for farming. Like I put a granary down and maybe a few farms over here. Well, no, hang on. I said I was going to put the quarries by the mountains. Okay, fair enough. So what are the other things I want to build? So what are adjacency bonuses for groves? Probably nothing. I mean, we can just keep chopping down trees at this point, I think. King Consort. Oh no, your husband has died. Luxuries. Luxuries are a special resource like gems or dyes that can be traded to other nations, tribes, and families in exchange for an opinion boost. Certain family classes have favorite luxuries that they especially desire. In order to acquire a luxury, you must first build the correct improvement on that resource, and the improvement must be augmented with a specialist. Luxuries can be sent to the desired target with the Manage Luxuries button on the action panel, while a nation, tribe, or family is selected, or in the bottom left of the city screen for cities. You may currently send gems to the Magonids if you desire, or you may wait to send the luxury somewhere else at your convenience. To send the same type of luxury to multiple targets, you must have multiple sources of it. So the Magonids do want gems. Yeah, I had a difficult day as far as just sleep and in general. But I hope you're feeling better. Yeah, we will send the gems to the Magonids to make them like me. Okay, let's start with finishing off the baddies. 10 legitimacy for killing off the enemy units. Charging footfalls. The stillness of the land breaks under the charging footfalls of the Carthaginian army. With eyes bright and the blood of their enemies not yet dulled by the open air, your soldiers are eager for further orders. So, I will prove my might in battle. Extra courage. We'll promote our soldiers and teach them new skills. Let's focus on supporting our... Oh, man. I don't think I can build barracks. Um, 10 promotions is like tough, but not impossible. I probably should be getting more units at this point. And also mercenaries are not going to help me on that ambition. Okay, so Carthage has got... Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a miner here. After that, we do another festival. Utica. Gets a slinger. Build the shrine because I use the stone for... Ah, man. Okay, so this is going to be iron, iron, iron. This is going to be lumber mills. Okay, so this is going to be where the urban centers break out. I wonder why they want a garrison here. This is going to be where I start building quarries. Okay. Obviously, we want to mine on the bullion. I think we'll just keep chopping down trees. And I think I rate exploration above the military matters for now. Although I am still going to need those promotions. Okay, Persia has begun construction of the pyramids. Prince Pharaoh and Princess Consort Batbal have given birth to a son, Duke Rabi. Awesome. Now, crap. God, I want all of these. Free Settler I kind of feel like I need to do because Carthage is currently tied... Like, everybody's currently tied up with other activities. But that pasture would have been really helpful for all the cattle that's nearby. But I'll live with it. There's the Settler. Okay. Would have done a slinger, save for the fact that I need to buy up the stone for that. So festival might be in order here. It's weird I'm doing so many festivals. Tragedy, oh tragedy. A poet of great renown has written has written a new tragedy to be performed at the Odeon of Carthago. The poet has reworked a number of Carthaginian myths, placing the hubris of man and the justice of the gods at the fore. The gods are shown to be stern and unyielding to the plight of the people tossed around by fate. One scene in particular shows Baal Hamon to be unrelentingly cruel. Despite the criticism of the priests, the poet promises that it is merely part of the narrative arc, where they will become benign protectors of the worthy in the next play. Hire the poet for our own court, personally commission the next play yourself, or stop the play from being shown. So Mago, what's your deal? Okay, am I losing my mind? I mean, charisma's nice, but well, I guess I can do with extra. I think I'll commission the next play. A blushing Azrabal approaches you with a shy smile and says, Dido, I've wanted to tell you this for some time now. I love you. I've written this poem especially for you. His poem hardly rhymes at all, but it is a heartfelt confession of love. So that was beautiful, just like you. Or, thank you for the poem. I don't feel the same way. And I do get money for that, but nah, you know what? Why not? I actually don't think... If I want, I can just go and try for a marriage, to be particularly mean. But where are we going next? Okay, here's the order that I want to do things in. First of all, let's heal where we can. I do need my economy up and running, so that means I need my workers to just run around and do things. Okay, so the theater is what I wanted for the discontent. That's good. It's gonna have... Oh, it has a stone cost, though. Well, we can still move you in place, though. And you know what? Just push a little bit further into the region. So I'll probably do something with them, but let's figure out what I want to do with the rest of my workers. So Iron Mine goes here. Okay, so exploration is the next priority, particularly because it's going to kind of tell us where we need to go for the... Okay, so it's kind of nice to know these expansion options, right? It looks like at this point, if I want to be getting more cities, I either need to go to war with the Danes or the Gauls. And I'm not opposed to either. I just want to be clear on like what's happening and why I'm doing it. Reports of a tribal raid from Scythian from a Scythian outpost near Lilybaeum, which we don't have any defenses for. A messenger from the Thracians is brought before the court asking to see you urgently. He rode in such haste that his horse collapsed in exhaustion upon reaching the city stables. This unusual rush is to bring you a warning from Queen Brazenis that a band of Thracians is about to set out on a raid against our lands, and would not listen to reason. Brazenis is unable to prevent that raid, but wishes to offer us assistance in repelling the raiders as a gesture of lasting friendship between Carthage and the Thracians. We graciously accept the help, or Brazenis has our thanks, but Carthage is capable of defending itself. The Thracians present an offer promising a stable peace. Do we approve? Not good enough. Okay. I gotta think about how I'm gonna handle this. So it's recommending a hamlet here. This would be improving... Well, surely a granary is the better... Well, we don't have the option for a granary. Okay, mine here makes sense. I don't exactly need iron, but... I'm gonna wait on the theater because that's gonna help me with the discontent. I may have to start using the extra... Like, we're at 300 training right now, so I really don't want to be spending that, but... On the other hand... Where else am I going to get the promotions? And Dido's not getting any younger. Okay, they don't have a citizen yet, but they do have discontent, so I'd be tempted to build walls, but let's build unit first, then walls. Okay, so you're waiting for... Yeah, so we're gonna keep chopping down trees. And I think probably we move someone to Lilybaeum. Right, we needed the orders for that. Okay, I think this will be the last turn because I'm actually a little over time. Oh, the birthday present. Your heir, Prince Feroan, has two loves, fighting and the finest, rarest, most exotic luxuries to be found. This year, for his birthday, the thought has occurred to him, to you, to give him a gift that caters to one of those two. Only the best for your heir, after all. Let's focus on luxurious delights this year. We shall hire a tutor for Prince Feroan, a warrior of renown. Not crazy about what that does to my training. Can't decide, let's do both. I mean, I'm not going to complain about that. And these types of fineries are simply beyond our reach at this point. No, let's do both. A new court soldier, Spartacus, has joined the court. His experience in matters of war will help keep Carthage safe. Okay. Quarries for days at this point. Already going to be a bit late. So the problem is if Lilybaeum even is the target of an attack, that's still going to make them, that's going to raise discontent. Okay, I think that's it. Actually, sorry. My bad. There was one other thing I wanted to do, and that was give the pearls to the Didonians. So trying to win hearts and minds. Okay, so in terms of plans for sort of next turns and such, so obviously dealing with the the enemy units is fairly important. The big dilemma now is if I want to expand, I'm going to have to make some decisions in terms of who I want to fight. That's less clear, let's say. I kind of have an idea in terms of how I want to expand my cities and such. That's not so much a question. And I might actually change things up. So one thing I was thinking of doing was like putting forestry here. But it occurred to me I don't need to do that. I could maybe do forestry here, and then I can use this to expand the city out. And I mean, then I'd also get the advantage of the Atlas Mountains. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But yeah, I mean, there's options to expand urban tiles, but Carthage is Carthago is the going to be the big focus in terms of trying to get the discontent down. I am lucky that I'm getting the free settler, so that lets us claim this tile here, but basically I think it wouldn't hurt for me to get another scout, so we want a scout checking out this. Actually, we probably want in total... Oh yeah, actually no, hang on. If I want to expand, we should go after these barbarians. So in total, I probably want to scout in this area, and then, so probably 4 scouts if I had the orders, which I probably won't. But it's also worth to keep it, like, it is definitely worth keeping the current goal in mind, which is to promote a unit 10 times. And one of the best ways that I can do that is by sending them out into combat, getting them experience, because I don't have any barracks or anything like that. So the ideal, of course, would be to start sending things like the swordsmen, the slingers off to Libeum, but of course that has a certain order requirement. Although, in retrospect, probably would have been smarter to move them, because at least they get 3 fatigue rather than the 2. But yeah, so I mean, it's the same challenge in all of the games, right? There's a ton of stuff that you want to do, and you kind of have to deal with the fact that the mechanics of the game are specifically built to stop you from being able to do everything you want in one turn. But I think the low-hanging fruit of expansion is gone now. The most natural expansion would probably be the Gauls, although there's a small argument for the Danes. But I think that's probably just because I can't see all of their cities. Might tell us. Okay, yeah, so there's 2 Gaulish sites, so we know of those. Yeah, okay, so the Gauls and the Danes, well, everybody's much weaker. Cyrus is stronger, so. Although we will be at 8 of 60 in terms of the points. Anyways, I think I have babbled long enough, so that was the 16th today. So thank you everybody for watching. Once again, this was with the Sacred and Profane and the Profane DLC enabled. Thank you to Hooded Horse for sending that along. I do need to appreciate that there is a bit of a tension in terms of what people want to see from me and what I want to play. So obviously Hooded Horse was also the company to give me the Terra Invicta key, and I have every intention of getting back to Terra Invicta. However, I do really like Old World, and I know a few people who are on some sort of streaming list, and like they've kind of worked it out that the only thing that they get checked for is whether they've streamed a game like once or at all. And effectively that for them is kind of the like, this is how I get free games, right? I say I'm going to cover it, I do it one day, and then it just goes in the library. I do not like that style. Like, if the game doesn't work, you're under no obligation to keep staying with something that you don't like. But I like Old World, and I think if I'm going to offer or agree to cover something, I want to cover it well. Like, I want to give it substantive coverage. And in the case of Old World, it's been a while since I've played it. So I'm going to work out, if I can't work out a different time for it, I am going to do Old World on Mondays for a little while with the full intention of returning to Terra Invicta. But just keep in mind, I realize that there's been a clear preference expressed. It's just that, particularly because of the nature of this DLC, I really don't feel like I'm going to be showing you what makes this such an interesting DLC if I just do sort of one opening turns kind of a stream. So just some forward guidance on that. Wednesday we'll be back for Industries of Titan. It's possible that we'll actually beat the campaign on Wednesday if I, put my nose to the grindstone and make it, make sure that I keep on top of my I don't know, the actions I need to take. And then Friday is kind of a free day. It's been Cyberpunk for a while, but maybe the fact that I'm struggling to find stuff to play, find days to play, fit the stuff that I want to play in. Like maybe that's just a signal to me that we put Cyberpunk on the shelf and we do Old World, we do Terra Invicta, we do something else. I'll admit, it has been kind of nice to do something that isn't strategy-ish. I love strategy games, but it is kind of nice to just have something, off the beaten track to try some other stuff on, but we'll see where it goes. Now, before I lose all of you, let's take a second here and see who is online. I also apologize for the somewhat abrupt ending, but I actually have some work that I need to get done at midnight. Okay, well, there is another streamer doing Old World. So the Gao listed as Variety, Educational, and VTuber. So again, as always, I hate saying this, but it does need to be said after a few hosts. I don't know who this broadcaster is. I always hope that they are, good-natured and fun to watch. Certainly have a sizable audience here. So I hope it's a good one. But as always, what I like to do, if there isn't somebody who I personally know, so the best one for me is if it's someone I know who's streaming a game that I want to see played, I kind of give them priority. If someone I know who I think is a good fit, I'll sometimes do that. I generally like to be able to pass along things on the game that I'm streaming. I just think it's kind of nice to build communities around games. But with all the cautions in mind, I hope you have a good time. Just as always, I want to say, raids are not endorsements, and I really regret that I've had to say that about a few people lately, but it is what it is. Anyways, I gotta get my work done. Thank you very much for watching. For those of you who like Old World, that'll be back in a week. For those of you who just like my stuff in general, I'll be back Wednesday. And until then, see ya.
Batch of reinforcements.